the two of them together, I knew we were all in for something bigger than we could handle almost.
Two little feet to get me across the mountain. Two little feet to carry me away into the woods. Two little feet like a mountain and a cloud coming down, cloud coming down, cloud coming down, cloud coming down. I hear the voice of the ancient one.
I applied with hundreds of other people and got one of the 15 slots to run Boston with a Heron bid. Mm-hmm. And along with that comes the commitment that you're going to raise a good deal of money. So I went to Bryan and I said, look, I want to go about raising this money in a different way. I don't just want to ask people for money. I want to do something that's impactful. Can you help me?
Maybe 2 months ago now, I get a text message from her of, hey, want to talk about some ideas for a fundraiser for Heron Project.
And a couple weeks goes by and I don't really hear anything from him. And all of a sudden I get this text. He's like, we got to meet. I got an idea.
Without any hesitation, I think I just responded with 48 hours on a treadmill.
We're sitting down at Starbucks. He's like, okay, 48 hours on a treadmill.
I want to say her response is, I'm listening.
No, that sounds terrible. You're crazy. Like, but we know Rebekah and we know Bryan and not necessarily surprised by it.
I went through this crazy concept of each one of us being on a treadmill for 48 hours.
We're going to do this. I need to do this. We're going to do this together. It's like, okay.
Let's get through this together and use it as that avenue to get the conversation going for people to start their own healing process.
Somebody says, we need to do this, that's different, right? I'm not going to say no to that. I think that there's a huge piece of my healing individually that's done, and this is much more about now I want to be able to give that back. I want somebody else to be able to experience that.
Mile 8. Feeling great.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Really, I don't remember the very first time we met, but we became very fast friends after that. I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania. We lived in a little tiny farm town. Mm-hmm. It's cold and dreary up there, and came down here and it's like, oh, it's perfect weather. This is great. And then I found Appalachian and I went out to school out there and I was like, oh, this is heaven. This is where I was meant to be. My mom was, she was a PE teacher and a coach. And so she was my swim coach growing up. I had no choice with the swimming. It was like she was going to be there, so I was going to be there. And then she was the one that encouraged me to start running. I had an older brother and I have a younger brother. It was me that was targeted, because even my younger brother, who's a little over 5 years younger than him, he just kind of ignored him. Like, there wasn't much of a relationship there, but my younger brother was a very, very different kind of guy than my older brother was. So I don't know if it's just that I was the closest one. He was struggling a lot, and so he would take out that, like, well, if I'm having all this pain and angst, you should too. He really didn't like that it seemed like it was easy and I could get along with anybody or do whatever came across my path, and he felt like everything was a struggle for him. From my perspective, he was literally a genius. So he's getting handed all these opportunities and traveling all over and writing and like traveling around Europe with an author and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm thinking, I'm just a small town girl at home doing nothing. You know, as I got a career and got married, then there was a lot of like wanting to come stay with us for long periods of time and not leaving, and helping with paying for things. I always wanted to bail him out, thinking if I can do that, then maybe he'll see like, oh, it could be good. We could have this great relationship. We could like wanting it to be enough. But there were times when we had to take a different road, realizing that like as he was burning through all the family and friends, because he would ask for money or resources from one till it was dry, and then you go to the next. Since my kids came, my focus shifted from I can save you to I need to be protective. He had my kids in the car when they were really little and ended up in a ditch, and he wasn't allowed to be alone with them after that. I had put up with a lifetime of abuse from him, but I was always willing to be there, but the anger won. I was mad that he wasn't willing to get better for all the people that were in his life that loved him and just wanted him to be whole and happy. And I was mad that that wasn't enough for him. Like, why would that not be enough? I had toughened myself up to where I'm realizing now it hurt me a lot more than I thought it did then. I thought, I can handle this, I can handle this. But the thought of them even hearing him say it to me or anybody else, I didn't want them to ever hear that. So there was a while where he wasn't allowed to come to our house. There were multiple times that we just had to take him to a homeless shelter. Or I took him to a hotel once and I went ahead and paid for 3 nights and I said, don't call me.
Mm-hmm.
Adding the component of having a third treadmill, so it wasn't just he and I going through something, it was inviting anyone to come and do it along with us and be a part of it, and all the different participants that are going to be out there doing different things, all under the guise of just health and wellness and community. I want to see, what does this look like for everybody else? It's more like, okay, we said we were going to do this, now let's watch it happen.
So growing up, my mother was and still is a saint, and was and is still the most supportive person in my life. My father, not so much.
Hi, I'm Judy. I am Brian's mom, and he has always been my angel with horns, but he is awesome. I am just so, did I say so? I am just so proud of him. He is my motive. He motivates me, and I'm the mom, right? And I just love him. I just love him.
Growing up, there was one way to do things, and that way was perfect. I took that into sports. I took that into academics, and much like no matter how good I did on a sports field, academically, no matter how good I did, it wasn't good enough. You kind of get conditioned, well, I'm not getting attention this way. So got attention just by doing the wrong thing. Being that kid that everyone's parents warned them about. That was me. You're just striving to get attention from your father. And when he was actively drinking, he was a different person. There was never a doubt that he had an amazing amount of love for me, for my mother, for my brothers. It was just the grip the addiction had on him that stole a lot of my childhood. There was, some physical directed at me. I don't want to speak for my older brother or my mom. From my eyes, there was a lot of verbal abuse directed at them. We never really talked about it, even as an adult. I never asked him what it was. A good portion of me that deals with the very objective of, there has to be a reason why. I think I've reached that level of, and it was a long time ago that I accepted, I didn't really care why. The outcome was all I needed to know.
So, did you forgive him?
Forgetting and forgiving are two distinctly different things. There's no taking back any of that past. I did.
When you join on with the Heron Project team, you're in a family. There are constant messages going around and chats, and people are sending you notes and wanting to meet up, and they really care for one another. 48 hours is a long time. It's a long time that you can keep talking. It's a long time that messages can go out, and it's more of that just keep taking the next right step.
When you found out something happened to him, what was that like?
Oh, I'll never forget this day. We were going to work the Tar Heel 10 miler. She had just gotten back from Boston, watching her mom race, and her and I were riding together. She was dropping the kids off at school, and I was waiting for my kids to go to school.
I'd be lying if I said that we didn't all think it was going to happen. I mean, we were honestly amazed that he made it to 39. Nobody thought he was going to live that long. There's a very real thought that it was either going to be overdose or suicide of a different means. For 20 years you've been thinking that.
And she texted me and said, "I'm going to be late," or something like that. "Call me right away." And I was like, okay, that's weird. She's doing carpool, I'm doing carpool. I think I called her, and Mason, my son, was still getting ready for school, and I could tell something was not right. And she said, "Just call me after he leaves, after he gets on the bus." So I said, okay. She was parked in my neighborhood, and I didn't know it.
All the things you want to say for so long, you know you're never going to get to say them.
So I called her and I said, okay, he's gone, he's on the bus. And she came over, and immediately I could tell there was something wrong. And I knew something was wrong before she even walked in the house.
That hope that you held on to, naively, that you could save them, you could love them enough that it will be okay. But we can't do that for somebody else.
And she was sobbing, of course, and she just hugged me and clung on, and I didn't know what was going on, and she was hyperventilating and crying and trying to talk. And I think we stood there for probably 10 minutes just in a hug, which is, her and I don't hug often, so it was very strange. And I knew she had just seen him, you know, 2 days prior. It was crazy. It was just so fast. He was just there. I replay that all the time in my head.
I think I wanted to ask him why. Just why were you so mean to me? Why did you seem to hate me? Why couldn't you see all the good that you had? My goal is to be on it as much as I can, but I want to finish the 48 hours. So I'm very aware that I'm not going to be on it for 48 hours. I'm not going to be on it for 44 hours, but I'm never leaving. I'll be there the whole time. Physically, I'm expecting that I'm gonna hit that same point that I did in the 40 miler where I feel like I can't take another step, and then I'm going to take another step, and then I'm going to take another step, and you can't keep going. I think it'll be extremely emotional in all different ways. I think it will be, there'll be a lot of tears, but there's going to be a lot of laughing. There's probably going to be singing and dancing and silliness.
I think all the slots are full the entire morning. I mean, it's crazy. I'll come in here.
I just took a poop.
Not the same thing.
Fellas just said, put it on their tab. That guy over there isn't sea bass.
I think it mostly hit the bolt.
Moving my hips like
Did your mom say nothing good happens after midnight too?
Yeah.
I think they all did.
Rebekah has a love for dirty gangster rap music. It's a little secret. We share it together. Not a lot of people probably know that about her.
souped up tempo. I'm on a roll. Time to go solo. Rolling. In my 5.0 with my rag top down so my hair can blow. The girl is on standby, waiting just to say hi.
Did you stop?
No, I just drove. I kept on. Pursuing to the next stop. I bust a left and I'm headed to the next block. The block is dead, yo. So I continue to A1A.
Beachfront Avenue.
We're hot, nothing less than bikinis. Rock me in love.
She lost her brother to a heroin overdose and used, the Heron Project as an avenue to raise funds and really awareness to a huge epidemic.
I've seen that people have done these Facebook fundraisers. I'll just put it out there as a Facebook fundraiser for the Heron Project.
She chose to do on her birthday the 39 miles for how old Jim would have been on his birthday. There was a group of us that went out there to start with her, and she started with her husband, with Josh, because it was really, really dark.
My knee was locking up, and I was terribly sick. I wasn't even at the 20-mile mark, and I was thinking, there's no way I can finish this.
She wanted to do the first half by herself, but maybe after the second leg, it's too much. Or you've had enough alone time and now you're ready to have someone else just join you.
I prayed and prayed and prayed and I was like, I need to do this. Within the next leg, which was, I don't know, like 3 miles later, I realized I'm not getting sick anymore. And my gut doesn't actually even hurt. And my knee doesn't hurt anymore.
And I was just at every crossroad, just in case, ready, dressed, ready to go.
I was in there by myself. I just kind of crumbled and was like, this is what this is about though, is I'm just gonna keep taking one more step. And then halfway through was when I said, okay, people can come out and join me.
She was on fire that day. She definitely had a good reason, fast, and yeah, it was a good day.
And all of a sudden, like, my friends started showing up. And they ran alongside me, and And I'd never run more than 23 miles before that day. It was just cool to have that last half be so supported. And it was so healing for me.
And she got to mile 39 and I saw her instantly break down, like went right to the ground, hands and knees, as soon as her watch buzzed 39. And you know, I just told everybody who was there, like, oh, everybody stop. And so everybody sort of just stopped and let her collect herself, which was only a minute, not even. She collected herself and went on, but that was a big point for her. First of all, for someone to be able to run that fast in the woods like we had been training, I'd go out and run with her, but it was always a little bit slower. And I knew that day that she was driven.
Through that whole process, I was really able to forgive him and to let go of the screaming why.
She was strong as an ox that day, just knew in her heart and her head were in the right place. And she was having a really good day under really bad circumstances. She was doing it for the love.
And we're all runners, and we race against time. And we're all runners, we were born to chase the tide. No matter where we are, no matter what we face, we're forever on our way. 'Cause we're runners, yeah, we're runners, and so we go.
Of all the people everywhere, I don't think anyone else I would have rather been on this journey with. You truly live up to that nickname of Bear. Thanks, buddy, for all of it.
And we're all runners, and we race against time. And we're all runners, we were born to chase the tide. No matter where we are, no matter what we face, we're forever on our way. 'Cause we're runners, yeah, we're runners, and so we go.
What I got to remember that love is what I got to remember that love is what I got to remember that love is what I got.
I came up with it a year after he died, and I spent that year like all that anger that I had been able to shove under the rug or put in a box. Like I could just put it all back behind, like I was living my life. I was a mom, I was a wife. I didn't need to deal with all of that anymore in my mind. And it all came out, and I was just angry.
She didn't want to open up at first, and she didn't want to share those stories. I think it takes a lot to be able to do that.
If he was so angry about stuff, and look what it did to him, it could do the same exact thing to me. And I didn't want to live like that. In my mind I was thinking, well, if this could help me in my own processing and dealing with things, then maybe I can use it as a way to help other people. Realizing like part of that healing was telling the story. Even the little bits of it that I told.
Those were big moments for her to be able to come out and talk about her life growing up and the difficulties that she had living with Jim and just what all of that comes with.
I'm Ann, Zeba, Rebecca's mom, Mama Bear. I'm here to give them support. When I'm here also, I'm part of the process. My son, Jim, died 20 months ago. He had battled addiction for 20 years. It was a hard go for all of us. Addiction impacts everyone close and even on the periphery. So we're here to try to change things, to bring some hope, to raise awareness, to crush the stigma, but as much as anything, to bring honor to the lives that have gone before us.
You know, we kind of all know each other through the store, so maybe a few things here and there, but not necessarily to the depth that we kind of know and understand now, because through this process he's been able to talk a lot more too, so it gives us all an understanding of the why behind that as well.
Hour 44. It's been an amazing journey. So, you know, the dynamics of a family with addiction in it, as I now understand it as an adult, is everyone has a role. I'm the middle child, so I'm the glue that binds, and I'm the fixer and all these things, but you add to that the addiction. You know, I do remember times as a child, him on the floor passed out drunk, and me picking him up and really protecting him from himself and doing what I could to divert the attention away from what he was doing when he was actively drinking. I can say now he reached a point where he was sick and tired of what the alcohol was doing to him and to his family, so he did receive greatest gifts of sobriety, and he was sober, I think, the last 20 or 25 years of his life.
It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard.
With that focus of ours being talking to one another and seeing each other as people and being there for one another, and that being prevention in and of itself.
Really what we're trying to do is just let people know it's okay to tell their story.
How can we be there for one another in a more impactful way?
Together, what are we capable of, you know, between Rebekah and I, and as a community, what can we accomplish?
It touches us all, and really thinking through, like, how can we be a bigger and better loving community? 4, 3.
It's ultimately, you know, going to be that we brought a community together to raise awareness to an important cause.
2, 1.
Without you, and it would have had absolutely no purpose. It's just about bringing community together and showing that being open and honest and vulnerable and calling people by your side when it's really, really hard is what we have to do. It's not worth it otherwise, and we can't do it alone. So thank you. Our first goal was 5 5,000. Our second goal was 8,000. We upped it last night to 10,000, and we closed out at 12,403.
Add 1,000.
Woo! 13,403.
Bryan, you ran 178 miles, 0.75. Rebekah, you did 137 miles, and that treadmill did not turn off more than 5 minutes at a time, and it went 298 miles.
Kevin, Bryan's brother-in-law, Jen, Megan, and Riley. We just want to say how proud we are of both of you. It's amazing what you did. Very important too. Cannot fathom. Both crazy, and we love you for it. Love you, Uncle Bryan.
It's frosty time.
It's frosty time.
It is 1:15. They don't function well.